is our 7, 8, and 9 check-in. Ran into some really technical stuff, a lot of snow. That's level. That's what we came up.
So I was organizing files the other day and I came across old video footage from 3 years ago when I climbed Mount Whitney with a group of friends. Now, Mount Whitney, it's hard. It's amazing though. So it's the tallest mountain in the lower 48 in the United States. Permitting system is really hard to land, and it just is strenuous. It's kind of a lot. So I want to take today to kind of tell that story, describe what mountaineering is, show some of the footage, and talk about the psychological aspects that I think of, because I think it's really fascinating just why we push so hard and do crazy things like this. And on a personal note, it was actually the first time that in hindsight I realized that I crossed a line doing very unsafe things. Like, I was no longer ambitious, I was reckless.
Mount Whitney, tallest place in the contiguous continental U.S. 14,494 feet tall. Lots of people do it. Lots of people do it. But this was the first time that I got to go. I waited 3 years to try to get these permits. Here is the story about it. October 14th, we are heading.
David.
David.
Yeah.
And then damn. And Jose. Jose flew from Boulder?
Yeah.
Boulder, Colorado. We are going to be on top of America, at least the continental America, in like what, 12, 14, 16 hours? Something like that.
All right, first, what is mountaineering? The sport or activity of climbing mountains. I got into this actually before I even got into this YouTube channel and creating content related to behavior analysis, because I was outdoors experiencing things and I was seeing them with my eyes, but I wanted to share them to others. And it seemed like a photo just wasn't enough. Like, taking that photo, posting it up on social media, people were like, this is crazy. And I was like, it's not as crazy as it was when I was there. I remember walking along, I hiked this peak in Oregon. And I remember walking along this spine. So there's snow, this is like mid-July, tons of snow still packed in there. I was walking along this like spine where there was 2,000 to 5,000 foot of just like cliffs and falling down. Like, you're dead if you mess up. And it was such a rush, but the pictures just weren't doing it justice. And so that's why I bought a GoPro and started filming and recording things. Fast forward 3 years and now this consumed my life. And it's just from sharing these perspectives and wanting to show people a lot of different things from the experience, for example, something like I'm going to show you here, or if it's actually trying to move people to more evidence-based practices and understand some of the psychology and the science like I explore on this channel. So mountaineering requires a variety of different things, gear, depending on the time of year. You can do sort of ice axe, crampons, which are the spikes like Wolverine for your feet. You can go that sort of direction, all the way up into climbing gear and like absolutely insane stuff. I do the hiking, the strenuous hiking, and I've done a little bit of the stuff that involves like crampons and ice axes, but I do not consider myself an expert, but I think I know my boundaries.
All right, from 1 to 10, how stoked are you?
So stoked. This guy's getting to the top for sure. Finally. We're drinking that beer.
Getting ready for some sleep.
Now, there's a few things that I've learned. It's always harder than it looks, it's always further than it looks, and it's always taller than it looks as well. So I want to show you a little bit of what it looks like to be on Mount Whitney. So we can pop over here. So you zoom in here, it's in the California-Nevada range, and bam, just a bunch of snow, alpine lakes, and granite, largely speaking. So there was 5 of us, one of whom I knew very, very well, and we rock climbed together indoors frequently, and we knew each other's skill sets. However, the other 3, we all didn't know each other as well. And one of these things where you gotta make sure that you're in a comfortable position to potentially have a harder discussion with somebody of like whether or not you think something's safe or the best idea, etc. You're hiking from approximately 8,000 feet to 14,400 feet, somewhere right around there. And it is an all-day thing. Start at roughly 2 or 3 a.m. when you wake up, and you hike. I believe we got off the mountain at like 9:30 at night. So what is that? Roughly 18 hours. All right, so these are the couple of dudes I was hanging out with. On the drive down, we drove a couple different cars, and I remember stopping to get some food, and there was a really interesting thing that we saw on the wall.
Solid reminder. Keep that in mind.
Well, we remembered this. It's actually a key thing that I'll bring back up when you see the footage of the...
Hour 0. 5 o'clock. What are we thinking? Does it take 12-ish? 16-ish?
Yeah.
Check in at each
You
hour.
you always start very early. The idea is that you don't want weather impacting in the afternoons and evenings and complicating the situation. You want to minimize as many constraints or possible constraining variables as possible. Like you just want to make sure that you can focus on where your feet go, where your hands go, get up, get down, be safe, and get out of there.
All right. Feeling strong?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Feeling strong?
Yeah.
Feeling strong?
Yeah.
It's always super cool to see like
Wow.
a sunrise first thing in the morning, especially after like a 3-hour hike or whatever it was.
All right. The sun's officially risen. Rose. We are feeling strong. No weakness yet. Hour 2.
Shortening is always key if you can, because what it's going to do is allow you to accomplish everything with less energy. And so we chose the mountaineering route, but that decision, since there was 5 of us and a few people who hadn't climbed at significant elevations like that in none of those situations, meant that the ice axe crampons that some of us knew how to use, we decided not to bring them.
All right, hour 3. It's been fun. We ran into some ice. Gotta kind of reroute here.
We're going up that. Yeah. No, we're not. Look at these couple. He's about to climb. He's gonna show us how to do it. On the ice.
All right, so at this point we're above the tree level, as you can see, and it looks like it's right there. So we stop, eat a little bit of food, get ready for the big push. You're talking about probably, I don't know, it feels like...
All right, check in. What time is it? What time you got?
Oh my god. 10:20.
10:20. So we're just past hour 5. Feeling strong. Feeling strong. I'm pretty sure this is the moon, or the moon looks something like this. I'll give you credit. That's the one.
It's not that far, but it's probably 2,000-3,000 foot of elevation gain. You're hiking up this chute for hours. During this though, we ran into a situation.
All right, hour 6, taking a little bit slower, had a nice break. Time to head up that thing. We're gonna stick this side of the snow and hope there's no ice up in the top. Reporting back later.
So since we were hiking as a group of 5 people, we decided that we wouldn't bring the ice axe and crampons. We looked and it looked like there was nothing. We did some inquiring from other people who were down there recently, and it looked like you could get up through the mountaineering route. Now, hiking up this chute part of the way up there, there's some snow. And I'm talking about 15, 20 feet, maybe 20 yards. I don't know, not much snow that's in the way. Snow at this time of year is packed, hard, icy. Even in the daytime when the valley being like 90 degrees still, we're hanging out at temperatures during daytime that in the shade are freezing. So this snow is a slippery situation. You can't get around it. So our whole day kind of paused around, I don't know, 11 o'clock or so, because we had to figure out how to get around this. And this is a situation where you can't go down and around. You don't have enough time in the day. You're also going to be exhausted at that point. And so my roommate at the time found a way to rock climb up and around. And I'll never forget, it took him about an hour. We're all hanging out, trying to decide if there's a way to safely go around. And the two of the more novice people that were with us, I knew at one point when I was coming down to climb down that I was going to potentially knock a rock loose. And so talked to everybody, made sure we're all in safe positions, went down as expected, actually kicked a rock. And kicking a rock like this big, when you're talking about 2,000, 3,000 foot down, can go obscenely fast and would definitely injure or kill somebody. And so when that kicked up and tumbled, it changed the situation for a lot of us. If you've never been in a situation where you've seen something like that, it doesn't seem so dangerous if you're looking in the moment to moment. But when you look at the larger picture, you get something that kind of like rattles your perspective like that, can alter things. So while my roommate found a route around and came back down, we had, I don't know, about 2 hours to discuss as a group, like, are we comfortable, things like that. Mind you, you're shivering, it's, almost freezing. And this is where the story kind of forks. And so that rock kicking up and tumbling down put in perspective for a few people that were more novice that they probably shouldn't do this. That decision is always something I would 100% support of anybody, and there's absolutely no shame in something like that. But when those people go to walk off the mountain and then you think about it, you're like, should I be walking off the mountain too? I remember discussing with one other woman there about our skill sets, how comfortable we felt. And watching my roommate, who said at that time that you could get around that snow if you went the route that he went, but it was a little sketchy, he said. And so we decided through about an hour of discussion that we would start to climb up the way that he climbed up, and then we can make it. And it wasn't until approximately half an hour up into this climbing.
Oh, that's a loose rock. God damn it. All right. We're 2, 5. This is our 7, 8, and 9 check-in. Trying some really technical stuff, a lot of snow. That's level. That's what we came up.
So if you didn't notice there, that is me literally realizing as I'm trying to film where we're at, thinking I'm in a safe spot with 3 points of contact in that, the rock that I'm holding, like, becoming loose. So put the phone away. And there was one other part that was really sketchy too. And I distinctly remember having to reach around a rock. And this rock, it's like if you were standing and you had to step around and feel for your hold. But when you look down, you're standing on a ledge just a couple inches thick, enough for your toes, like pretty comfortably. But down was just like 1,500, 2,000 feet, I don't know, something unbelievably far down. And so there's a couple moves that we had to do at some point where I've never been, I can like feel my autonomic, my nervous system like going right now. I've never been more like pumped up, alive, focused. Like the only thing that you're focusing on in a situation like that is what do you need to do to achieve this, to safely pull this off. And we were very methodical, extremely methodical here. In that the most experienced climber went first. We made sure to go in an order in which we were all comfortable from the three of us. Anyhow, after going around that rock, the elevation starts to really get at me around 13,000 feet. And in addition to never feeling so, like I was describing, like alive and just like focused ever, it's also a very interesting situation when your body can no longer do the things that you're used to it doing. And so I remember distinctly being able to take like 2 to 5 steps up, and my body was like getting physically tired after those 2 to 5 steps. Like I needed oxygen and I couldn't get enough oxygen because of the altitude. And there's just something about pushing yourself to the point of physical things that you're used to being able to doing, not being able to be accomplished anymore. That's oddly fascinating. Oddly fascinating. So we ended up taking some of those steps, slowly getting up there and summiting, believe it or not. It was definitely the hardest, one of the most amazing challenges that I've ever given myself in my life. And it wasn't until later that night, the next day, when we were driving home and talking about it, where we all kind of were like, I think we got away with one there. I remember when we were hanging out up top, there were some climbers that came over the top, and we had saw them 6 or 7 hours earlier in the day, and they distinctly told us like you couldn't go the route we were trying to go because you needed ropes, climbing gear. And I was like, I remember telling them, like, my roommate didn't. I was yelling across the gorge, and they're like, no, you need them. And then we got up on top, and their jaws just had dropped when they had saw that we had gone the way that we did. And so it's kind of, in hindsight, putting these things together, thinking about it on the 11-mile walk down, and talking amongst us all, where I realized that it's very easy for this summit fever, they call it, to get whatever that is. And it's hard to describe, so let's shift into that maybe.
So rad. Good work, Ryan.
You did it.
Thanks for making me do that one part of the good break it down here. Very far.
Yeah. Good job, dude. Nice work.
Update. What was it, about a 9.5-hour summit? Took quite a bit. Capturing the video. Made it to the top.
So there's some factors that I'm aware of, but the problem with understanding situations of this nature is we don't have controlled experiments on this. And the factors that I think of may just be relevant to me, and they may not experimentally actually be anything of importance. So just take this with a grain of salt. Some interesting things I've found of others and my own thoughts. So in behavior analysis, I have an image here that I'll throw up of demand curves. And these are delay discounting curves. So the idea is from low to moderate to high, that these things can shift. Your impulsivity, this is a metric of, can shift as a result of things going on in your environment. So how likely we are to, say, climb Mount Whitney under certain circumstances can shift as a result of things that go on in your environment. And what's cool here is you get a mathematical model and you can start to model these sort of things. Now, no one's ever done this, from my understanding, in behavior analysis in these sort of situations. So my hunch here is that what happens is, in the moment, ways in which you talk about yourself, situations in the environment around you and the people around you can start to say things to alter and shift your demand curves, and talking about how impulsive or how safe you're going to be in the moment as a result of the things that are going on around you. Those words, the people, the environment, right? And how you talk to yourself. And this is something that I feel like if there is a behavior analysis that could provide a self-management tool of understanding your demand curve shifting in the moment to moment, right? Like you would get on the feedback of like a smartwatch or something, that could be immensely useful. That's something in the moment where it could have been like, hey, the decisions that you're making, you wouldn't normally make as a result of your day-to-day activities, but in this moment you are. And that might be a way to influence when you're compromising, when you're potentially pushing yourself too far, which in hindsight, I I would never go up that mountaineering route again the way that we did. Did we find a safe way? Did we do it in a safe manner while we're there? Yes, but like one loose rock or one slip and totally different situation. Yeah, totally different situation. So,
all right, hour 12 check-in. Feeling kind of strong. Walking on Mars, it kind of feels like right now. The smoke is horrible. Until next time. All right, status check. We're singing 99 bottles of beer on the way down because apparently there's 99 switchbacks. After we summited, it took 5 hours to hike about 11 miles out. 3 of those hours, I think, were on headlamps, and you just feel like you're kind of walking in this like trance-like state where you're not actually going anywhere because you see nothing around you. You just see your steps going forward. It's kind of like a blind treadmill. We made it out at 9:30, got some grub, headed back to Reno. About 3 o'clock in the morning, passed out, then it was time for work.
I don't know, these are the things I think of with behavior analysis. Again, this is not an explanation of what's going on, it's just a story, some things that I like to really think about, things that I wish was out there, like that feedback that you could get. I could just see that being a thing. Feedback on when you're making choices that are not normally in the best interest of yourself or outside the deviation of what you normally do. So, I hope you all enjoyed this. Thanks for letting me explore this different topic, and I'll see you in the next one. That's your Daily Beat.